Welcome back to Vintage Lens Revival, the channel that tries to rescue, fix, or unwillingly destroy vintage lenses and cameras, or just tries to make you fall asleep, because it can be very boring. This time I have a 135mm Soligor f2.8. You'll see in a few moments the challenge I've got in hands. By the way, this video is sponsored by Chuck Norris. Not really, but it should. Jokes aside, this is not my lens, and I did not buy it. It's from a friend, the same that wanted to help his friend fixing the Canon AE1. I invested 5 minutes searching for detailed information about this lens, but didn't find nothing relevant. If you know, please leave a comment regarding the year of production. However, it seemed that some screws were loose, and then the lens fell apart. This is a great lens with awesome glass, but unfortunately it came apart in my friend's hands. Literally, let me demonstrate what happened, dramatically. Oh no, it came apart, oh my god. Very dramatic. As you can see, those 3 screws at the beginning were supposed to be here, making the link between the inner focus barrel and the outer focus barrel. I felt the focus was stiff, and now I see the grease is old and sticky. Since the lens is already open, I'll risk going a bit further and give an internal clean. I'll start to disassemble the lens hood. It has only 1 screw locking it. 1 drop of WD-40 just so it's easier to unscrew. This stuff is like magic. It's a very tiny screw. It could fit inside a clock. Speaking of clocks, remember that I have no clue what I'm doing. Please do not replicate what I do. I'm learning as I go and share the videos just to make you sleep, hopefully. To avoid risking smudging the lens elements, I decided to give a rub with a soft tissue, the ones that leave no fibers loose. Ouch. While I'm at it, I might as well clean the rear element. The aperture blades seem fine. Out goes the front group. Checking the blades mechanism. Soon I might need to clean aperture blades, and I'm scared as hell to do such a job. The mechanism seemed fine, a bit stiff, or maybe needs a new spring. But it worked great, so I'll leave it as is. Dude, it's out of focus. Deal with it. Much better. Let's remove this ring of power. Or maybe not. Let's try this instead, maybe breaking in from behind. I unscrewed the focus barrel to expose 3 other screws to separate these 2 parts. I can brag myself to have never let a screw fall. Good job. Now let's take the outer focus barrel, or big ring, whatever you want to call it. Let's call it Paul. There's a bit of oxidation inside the lens mount block. I'll take care of that later. But overall, seems in good working order. Good news, everybody. Watch me while I figure out how to separate the focus module. Afterwards, I deserved a good slap. Ho! There it is! I completely forgot I wanted to take the ring out. Let me inspect that, and then I'll get back to Paul. That obvious screw is holding the 2 parts together. It's actually the stopper. It prevents the lens to further than it needs to. There it is, a very nice piece of aluminum that moves itself and moves other parts of the lens. I can feel again that the grease is sticky and doesn't give a smooth movement as it should. It really needs a good cleaning. Here comes the acetone. Let's start with the ring of fire. 10 points for the diving. 5 points for the shaking. Wow, it turned out exactly as it was before the cleaning. New angle. Using acetone, I'll remove most of the grease, and then I'll use a secret solvent. The result is amazing. I need to remove the rails that guide the focus helicoid. This way I have better access to the ring. To avoid losing or misplaced tiny parts, I usually use a state-of-the-art parts sorted. Behold, an egg package. Did you know that sometimes I get angry at the table? I do, for some reason I do. I can't take this second screw out. And obviously I know who the fault is. The other one, of course. See, I told you. Now it's time to my secret recipe. It will clean this aluminum like a charm, better than Hermione could have done using magic. Look at those pair of parts. They seem like just got out of the factory. That's the AC pump. I get hot while shooting this videos. Get used to it. At this point, I'm starting to assemble the lens. It took me a few days and several tries off camera. A small portion of lube to protect the threads. Look how they rotate. Better than a fidget spinner. This is a facepalm moment. The ring doesn't actually goes in right now. The purpose of the ring is to connect the inner and outer focus barrel. I later had to disassemble it many times. Yet another facepalm moment. That's what you get when you try to do things like this by yourself. Please learn from my mistakes. By placing this screw, I'll cover the 3 screws that connect the barrel to the lens mount and iris module. As a result, I'll have to disassemble yet once more this part. With the ring in place, I'll show you how I managed to set those 3 tiny screws in that tight spot. I'll never drop a screw again. Yeah. All that precise and tedious work to place those tiny screws. Now I'm all happy, but the disgrace is yet to arrive. Ignorant about the future, I'm now lubricating the main optic block. Not knowing, I'll make all the wrong choices from now on. In this scene, the truth shall be revealed to me, and the frustration kicks in. At this point is all about 1 step forward and 2 steps back. I managed to assemble to first aluminum part in the wrong rotation. Only noticed this later in the video and then corrected it off camera. It's very important to stay focused and take notes about the element's alignment. I did not do such things. This is the moment I figure out something is wrong. You can see the stopper inside the barrel, but to stay put, the marking on the lens do not match the alignment. 2 steps back. I could label this scene as how not to try to assemble a lens. In fact, I could label this video as failing to assemble a lens, but succeeding in the end, somehow. Here I'm pointing out the rails that have to fit into the corresponding groove in the focus helicoid. But I have to insert it in the right position and then rotate the focus to pull it back. However, the focus ring has to be in an exact position, overcompensating the thread, so when the optical group goes into the right position focusing infinity, it's impossible to describe. So I tried to mark the center to guide me, but the main problem is that I have to precisely set the focus ring into thread. Notice how everything is kind of aligned. Then with this weird hand position, I have to rotate the focus until the optical block goes into the right position. I had to try this several times and take measurements until I got it right. I forgot to tell you, I also need to perfectly align the iris blade's mechanism. I figure out it was better to set it to f2.8. As you can see, I failed to align it, and I'll fail again next. I love failing, it's the best, right? Welcome to Vintage Lens Revival. I tried filming with multi-camera and failed successfully. So this angle is a Canon 5D with a macro lens with fungi, soon on the channel. Again, trying to perfectly align everything and figure out it would be easier without the focus markings. Earlier, I assembled the optical group and mount it to a camera. This was to figure out where the infinity point is. Then measured it and tried several times to place the thread in the right position, so when the optical group hit that marking, the focus ring is at infinity. A real puzzle. Finally got it right. The blades function properly. Now to measure the lens placement. Finally, the lens is starting to take its original shape. Mounting the focus ring yet again, hopefully for the last time. Double checking both ends, very important. Now that I see everything is place, finally mount the screw that never fell. We're almost at the end. Now the front group can be assembled. The last part, the lens hood, and then the tiny screw. Now a final check of all the functions. If there is something wrong, I'll walk from Alverca to Mafra. Hopefully you slept. Let me remind that there is a video without the voiceover. And while we're reaching the end of the video, you'll see some test footage. But most important, never forget to be kind.